just out of Camlammy, looking back at your win down in South France, I've had some time to mull over that one. What did you make of it?
Yeah, obviously very pleased. We were there for quite a while, and the conditions were hot. As I said after the game, the ground was really hard. I thought Catalan played probably the best rugby that they've played all year. And for us to get in front, allow them back in the game, and then to win it in that last 15, 20 minutes is probably indication of how resilient the team is. So really proud. Got us in his third spot as well, with Leeds losing to... who was it?
St Helens, I believe.
Yeah, to St Helens at Saints there. I think that result helped us as well get into that third spot.
3 wins in the spin as well. Are you seeing sort of the week-on-week improvement that you'd sort of expect? You've got basically the spine of your team back.
Yeah, I think that's the key. We've gone the whole year without having our strongest team in, and we've had nearly all of our backs miss half the season, so at their own individual time. So it's certainly a step in the right direction. Gaz O'Brien being that back there last week and having a lot of influence in the game. Ethan O'Neill returning. So I've starting to see some things that gives me a lot of confidence. Albeit there's still a lot of work to do, but I know we're all on the same page here at the moment on what we need to do to improve and try to keep climbing up that ladder.
Just on, the trip to Perpignan, logistically, how difficult can that be for yourself, and what challenges does it bring into this week as you prepare for Leeds?
Yeah, I think logistically we didn't fly back till Monday, so we've not trained. We've trained once, which was today, leading into the game. And when you play those really difficult, tough physical games, because that's what it was, it had a semi-final feel about it. They were embarrassed the week before. No doubt they had some conversations between themselves about giving a better performance, and they were really strong, and I think they're close to another win. But when you play them on a 34-degree hard ground, it's got to take some juice out of you as a group, and we've tried to refresh our boys and train them less and try to keep them with a clear mind and a fresh mind leading into Leeds on a Friday 6-day turnaround. That's the hard part. So I guess at some stages during this match against Leeds, we're going to go through some difficult periods of fatigue. That's just the science behind it. But, I've got to make sure that I get my changes right and that we play a game plan that suits us, that gets us through this. So it's going to be a really tough challenge, probably the hardest, if any, as any this year. And, they're playing some good rugby as well. They're a point behind. It's tough to go to that Leeds when you're playing your best rugby. So it's going to be a really difficult challenge, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you mentioned their defeat last time at St Helens. Is it maybe a case of being wary of the wounded animal this week?
Yeah, I think, listening to their coach, they want to respond this week, and they'll be physical and everything that comes with that. So, like I said, you put all of that in with the science side of it, it's going to be a really difficult battle, but it'll be close. It's one of those games that will go either way, and we're prepared to hang it out there for 80 minutes, as we've done in several occasions this year. So if we can get there and find a way to win, it'll be a massive, massive victory for us in this season. No doubt about it. We're into the second half now. I feel that we're still building. I think we're around a 7 out of 10 as a club, and the boys are aware of that. We all agree on that. So there's a lot of improvement left, and there is a difficult period coming up for us and every other club, I guess, throughout Super League, especially in the top 6 where we're all playing each other. So it'll certainly define the ladder over the next 6 weeks.
And I believe it's the first time you played Leeds this season as well. I mean, it's sort of a quirk to the schedule, isn't it? What do you make of it coming so late into the season to play a team the first time when you played others multiple times? Yeah,
we've talked about this. I'm sure every club's talked about it, and probably every fan. I don't get it. I'm a stickler for old school. I think we should play everyone once. I think we should play everyone twice, and then play the last group at the very end. I mean, that's how you get an even ladder. That's how you get an even performance. We've played Catalan 3 times before we played Leeds once. Like, how does that make sense? But I don't want to dwell about that. I know. There's bigger things to worry about with the RFL at the moment. But when you look at the ladder and a fair competition, it only makes sense that you would play everyone once and then play everyone twice before you played some teams 3 times, not the other way around. And that's just common sense, Yeah, that's where I'm at with it all.
Finally, it's 3rd against 4 for Headingley, there'll be a big crowd there. I mean, it does really have a big game feel about this one, and I suppose it's like a reward in a way for the hard work that you put in to have these big nights available to you.
Yeah, I think this will be as big as any game we've had this year. I know round one for us was massive at Wigan to start the season, but this is going to be just as big. Both teams playing reasonably well. You can see they're connected there. We've got a lot of new faces that are trying to bring our performances together. They've been quite consistent all year as well, Leeds, and been close in a lot of games that they've lost as well. But for me, it's there's a few other challenges there that we've worked really hard on this week, and we'll see whether we've got that right in the sense of the science side of it. So fingers crossed we turn up and we're good to go.
Cheers, Lammy. All the best tomorrow night.
Thanks, Josh.
Hi, Lammy. It's Aaron.
Hey, mate. Very well, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you.
Good.
I think you just touched on it there. Your next 4 games are against the other 4 teams in the top 5, aren't they? I mean, it's a huge period in the season. I guess it's an opportunity for you guys to go out and really lay a marker down and put some credentials down. Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. There's different ways you can look about it, or look at it in this time of the season. There's also, I want to see it as an opportunity for us to make a statement and to perform well and play well and show everyone that we are the real deal, as opposed to these close matches and allowing some points in. So we're working hard on some areas that we need to improve on, which is coming. I'm seeing that now more often, which is a really positive sign. But, in the next 6 weeks, the team that's 3rd or 4th could be 8th. The team that's 6th could be 9th or 10th. That's how close it is. A team in the top 2 could be outside of the 4. So highly unlikely that situation. But I think anything can happen, and but we're in control of that. We feel so. We've worked really hard to get into this position. 3rd is a spot on the ladder that we've never really experienced as a club, and it's something that we want to be getting used to. It's one of those things that we've. For a Lee fan to think that they're sitting 3rd in Super League in the second half of the season, you probably never have thought that in the past. But we're there now, and we're working hard to be there. We've certainly earned it.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, in terms of the try-assist metric, it's the 2 most creative players in the comp squaring off tomorrow night. I mean, it's almost a battle that's kind of worth the admission fee alone, isn't it, really? Lockie and Jake, a lot of what they do really well goes through Jake and vice versa with you. Yeah,
that's a fair comment, and that's why they're up there as well in the top 4. I know that a lot of Jake's try assists have come from tackle 6 kicks, so we've also got to manage that process. But I think it'll be a close game all the way through, and it'll be won in the last 10 minutes.
Brad Arthur was talking this morning about Joe Fahengai. He works with him at Paris, says he's been really impressed with him.
Yeah.
He's a starter for you guys now, having come off the bench in those first few games. How pleased have you been with how he's settled in?
Yeah, awesome. He's got great leadership around him as well, and I think the boys have taken to him really easy. He's a hard worker. He's everything that this club wants to be, and since his arrival, my all comments are always around the players that come to the club. It always takes them around 10 weeks to find their best rugby. So he's getting up to that now, and he's only 29. He's here for 3 years. He's certainly going to play a big part of the club moving forward with our success that we have in mind, and I think he's only going to get better and better each week.
And just lastly from me, I think a lot of people are talking about the comp as Hull and Wigan as the top 2, and everyone's kind of jockling behind that. But there's an opportunity, if results go your way over this next month, to break some ground on that top 2. Do you still think it's achievable that you can crack it, or is 3rd maybe the best you'd hope for?
No, well, we've worked hard to get in the 3rd spot, and as I said, I think the mentality here at Lee in the past is be happy to be here. But the way that we see it as a club is that we want to strive to be better. We want to be the best in the competition. Now, that might take 4 weeks, it might take 4 months, it might take 4 years, whatever that is. But I want everyone to start thinking slightly differently, and that's getting the best out of each other and wanting to be the best team. So if that's the case, then we've got to do things that we've never done before. So these opportunities that present themselves now over the next 6 weeks are exciting, and hopefully we can get through that in good shape, and then we can readjust and reassess where we are then to see how much of a real deal we are, or have we got a little bit of work to do. So we're continuously trying to improve in that area.
Well, good luck tomorrow, Lammy.
Thanks, Aaron. No problem.
Hi, Adrian. I'll jump in for a few if that's right. Hope you're well.
Hey, Josh. All good? You?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just on your fullback Armstrong, you said it in pre-season it's going to take some time for him to get into the rhythm of Super League. Obviously, he's been battling with injuries, but now you're hoping that he can remain on the field for the rest of the season, and fair to say his best is yet to come.
Yeah, it's a week-to-week proposition with Davey and us as a club. You know, he's a tough kid, and we haven't seen the best of him yet, but he's certainly had some influential touches in matches of late, and that's why he's so important for us to play him, whether he's 50%, 60% or 100%. So, you know, it's something that's ongoing. Our medical team's working really hard to make sure that he gets to a position where he hasn't been yet, and, you know, who knows what he could get to once he gets his body right. So we're pretty excited with him. He scored a great try last week around Tompkins there, which isn't easy to do. He should get a lot of confidence out of that, but it certainly gives confidence to the team as well.
Now, I have to ask, because it's been in the spotlight this week, but Leeds' passionate owner, Derek Bowman, come under fire a little bit, obviously, with his appearance behind yourself in his Sky Sports interview. But is that just the character that he is and the passion that he is? Just a comment on him? Yeah,
I don't really want to talk about that, mate. I've got no comment on that, apart from the fact that, you know, I think that he is passionate about rugby league and everything involved with that. So I'll just leave it at that, mate. I prefer to answer questions regarding this week's game against Leeds.
Yeah, fair enough. Just finally then from me, he's named in your squad, Josh Charley, but reports that there's interest elsewhere in Super League. Is there anything you can say on potential letting him go to get game time for the rest of the season?
Obviously it's not ideal that Josh isn't in the 17 for him. We picked the team based off merit, and that's been communicated very, very clearly to Josh and all other players outside of that 17. If there is an opportunity there, because I feel that Josh may need to keep playing rugby, if we make that decision to find Josh a club to go on loan to, we'll make that decision as each week progresses. So that won't happen this week, but obviously may come into play next week depending on our situation. So he's an important member of the squad, loved by all the players, no change there, and he's working hard to get back in that team, and he's not far off. So we'll do what's best by the club next week moving forward.
Nice one, thanks for that. Best of luck
tomorrow.
Josh.
No problem, mate.
Hi, Adrian, you alright?
Hey, Callum.
It's Sam.
Oh, sorry, Sam.
Yeah, sorry, no worries.
You look like Callum, mate, but don't worry, that's me.
Back and how you felt about his ban. Do you think that was fair enough, or were you maybe a bit harsh?
Oh, it's hard it's a difficult one to answer, really. It's based off a 3-point charge on a grading B of a late contact, but the 3 points are added to 3 previous points that takes him to 6 points, which is the threshold, the first part of 1 week suspension. So unlucky for Alec, because, you know, he did everything that he was asked to. Probably could have slowed down in the contact. I thought it was a bit harsh. It could have been downgraded, but we're just nervous the fact that going to judiciary and fighting it could have made it worse and get a 2-week suspension. So we've accepted it the way that it is. It's difficult, you know, because a ball player in Partington playing at the line that he did, it's hard to say to someone, don't do that. It's something that we coach into the team. So, but we'll accept it this week and we'll move on.
Yeah, no worries. And just on replacing him, and presumably you're looking at someone like Jack Hughes potentially. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think our 3 players that travelled to Catalans that didn't play last week were 3 quality players, and that's why I made it pretty clear that it was one of the strongest teams we've had this year. You know, Josh Charley, Jack Hughes and Bailey Hodgson were the 3 players that didn't play, and they could potentially play every other week and someone else miss out. So it's nice to have that pressure there from players that aren't in the 17, and it gives me the opportunity to bring someone in like Jack Hughes or Bailey Hodgson into the team or Josh Charley this week because we have that depth there. So we're fortunate enough at this time of year to be able to do that, and it'll probably be Jack Hughes. So, you know, it's a good point, but you know, it was a hard decision as well to leave Jack Hughes out last week, but he's back in now, and it's his to hold.
You only named the 20-man squad. Was that just because you're so comfortable with the quality that you have outside of that top 17 in those 3 players you mentioned? Yeah,
no, we were happy with that. You know, AJ Towers would have been the 21st man, but that would have made it two wingers in 18, 19 and 2021. So just made a decision to hold on to that 20 and just run with that.
Yeah, no worries. And best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, mate.
Hi Adrian, how you doing?
Who we got there?
Callum.
Hey, Callum, how are you? Well,
Yeah, thank you. What do you make of the new disciplinary system? I know you've had words on it in the past.
yeah, we're all trying to work in with it. At the moment, it seems to be working. It is. I mean, every club at this point of the season has probably 3 or 4 players that are like Alec this week, where you make one more mistake and you're out for a week. The whole idea of it was to delay these sort of situations so that players aren't getting suspended earlier on in the season more than often. So I think it's working to some degree, though I think there needs to be some adjustments to it as we go along. So, but that along with some of the rules are always a talking point during the year, and that'll always continue. I mean, for instance, one of the rules that I'm frustrated about that I think we need to look at as a sport is that I think it's called the downtown rule, where an opposition team kicks down to us, we get behind the ball, the fullback carries the ball and gets tackled. Now 90% of the time, 90% of your teams in front of that play the ball still trying to get back behind the ball. Now, if anyone in front of that play the ball is involved with the next play, it's a penalty against, and there was a real critical time in the game of the weekend where we had an offload to one of our players through the middle of the field, and it was a penalty against the whole complete run of play. And I think it's a penalty that just doesn't need to exist. And I presume every coach and every supporter in the game would agree with me on this point. So that's something I just want to flag and have as a talking point over the next couple of weeks leading into the season, because I think it's a penalty that's just not needed, that needs to be eradicated out of the game.
Why do you think that rule is in place? Because it doesn't really make any sense.
Well, it doesn't, but it doesn't for me, because we want our game to be a free-flowing game and to support the attacking team as much as possible, because we want it to be an attacking game, not a defensive game. That's just from a viewer's point of view. For us to have the ball on tackle 1, us carry and then get an offload to a player that was in that position on tackle 2, and then a penalty against, is just against the complete run of the game and everything that the game stands for, in my opinion. And we've been penalised 3 or 4 times this year on it, and it's been a rule forever, but it's never been used right up until this season. So I mean, and it could have been used last year, but I can't remember a time that it was. But it changes the momentum of a game, and it's just outrageous. I mean, if you get behind a player carrying the ball and then receive an offload from that player, I would presume that would put you into an onside position, but that's not the case. You need to be behind the person playing the ball when it's played to be able to receive a pass once you carry, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah, so it's one rule that I think needs to go, and as quickly as possible. I don't think another coach would support that rule. They would actually support the thought of moving it on, and I think the fans don't like it either.
Have you raised it with the referees or the RFL?
No, that's just come across my mind now because we're talking about judiciary and how that's changed this year, and aligning that with some of the rules that have changed this year. That hasn't changed. It's just never been it's never been looked at as deeply as it is at the moment. I just think there's nothing good about it.
Nice one. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks,
Good luck at the week.